Don't blink, it's your Blink. Welcome to the show. Considering all because I'm having a wonderful day on this 7th November 2024. I know what you're saying. Ink, you're not in the bathroom. You promised us bathroom videos. Well, I took some notes and I need my two hands free to read the notes. But yeah, so don't worry. We're reviewing Arcane episode 4 to 6. So yeah, so I need my notes, and I got notes, don't worry, but I need to read them. I hope you guys are doing well, because I'm having a wonderful evening, and if you don't mind, I'll take a sip of wine. And well, I can rewind. It's kind of cool because therefore, I'm really glad that I stopped at the third one. The reality is, the third one I was tired, but I'm really glad I stopped at the third one because the third one is the time skip. The third one is the childhood era of Jinx, of V, of Caitlyn, of Jace, of you get the point, but still. Episode number 4, kind of cool because we see every single characters. How did it end up, right? You see that Jace, who was newly appointed to a place of honor and rank. The story with Jace is really interesting because he was not necessarily a noble, but was kind of adopted by a noble. And what is really cool with that is you understand, like, okay, yeah, I get it. He was supposed to have a good life, but he made better with his life, right? A lot of people are nobles, and what is also the problem with Jace is we're not really seeing the life of the people from up the upper city. We're seeing a lot of the people from the slums, but we don't really see the life of upper city. So maybe Jace isn't even noble. Maybe he's just living the normal life. But he's in a very good spot to get a promotion, which he gets into this episode. He ends up being a consul. Usually what I like to do every single characters and see how they evolve. But with Arcane, it's very complicated, so we're going to do spot by spot. We have a huge advancement on the crystal. So what we saw in the crystal, and it's a very small details that I didn't even notice the first time. It is a detail that you notice, of course, but it's such a small thing that you don't pay attention to it. And the crystal, which again are one of the main part of the game and the show, when you see the childhood era, you're seeing crystals that are all like diamonds, right? But now Jace was able to put them in a circle, and he's able to shape them literally how you would shape a diamond for a ring. So it's actually really, really, really cool, right? We see V, who's in jail. Shout out to Mystical V on Instagram, super cool chick. We see V that's in jail, and it's kind of cool because at the end, what I didn't mention is V is supposed to help Powder because Silco have her. And Silco is like, yo, I'm going to take care of you. I'll take care of you all the whole time. Do not worry. And V was going to stop him. But then whatchamacallit? We have the it's a nice thing because Marcus take care of her, but she puts her in jail. We have a similar of V doesn't really know what happened. So in my mind, this kind of makes not necessarily, but it does make V almost the narrator of the story. We as people don't know what happened. We as people will learn the story as the show goes on. V as the character will learn the story as the show goes on. So she's our eyes, right? We know what Jinx went through. We don't know why she became the way she is. We have an understanding as to why, but we don't have the clear story. We have Jace. We don't really see what's happened. How did he get to where he is? And we have V that isn't supposed to know this stuff, which makes sense, right? We also have Caitlyn. Caitlyn, in my first view, she wasn't an important character, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I found Kate boring. I found Kate extremely boring. The Kate is possibly the most interesting character of them all. And sure, you can say, oh, narratively, I think Jace is more interesting. Character wise, I think Jinx is a lot of fun. If you're looking for a hero in the story, you look for V. But Caitlyn is this perfect character who doesn't know what's happening in the slum. She wants to be part of it. Caitlyn is a member. Caitlyn is perfection because Caitlyn realized that the upper city are very corrupted. See, she goes into this mission to discover the truth on her own because she cannot trust anybody else, right? Jace doesn't learn that it's corrupted before episode number 6 out of 8. So Caitlyn already knows that. Caitlyn is also in a position where she wanna attack, but she see the difference between Jinx and V. V is stronger than Jinx, no question asked. I'm sorry, but Jinx will kill. V will not kill. Jinx is the Rat King. The Rat King is a rat that had to survive by eating other rats, and now when you put rats. So, okay, the Rat King is super simple. I'm gonna do it very quickly. Rat King is what? Rat King is you take one rat, put it in a box of 5 rats. They're starving. One of the rats said, you know what? I'm the strongest motherfucker in here. I'll eat everybody else. Okay? Now, what happened is you have one rat at the end who ate his friends. You put 4 more rats in. Now, the rat that knows the situation, the rat that knows that he can eat the other rats, start at an advantage. Jinx is the Rat King. She won't stop. She won't kill V at first glance, but by episode number 8, she'll kill V no problem. So you see, Caitlyn is like V in a certain amount of time. She's like V in the fact that she won't kill, but she's also like Jinx in the fact that she's very aware. She's very smart. Am I saying that V is stupid? No, I'm saying that V is unaware. V is the classic leader who is trusting. V is the classic leader who will believe what you're telling her because you're in her squad. V is a classic leader that knows that every single person in the team has a place in the team. But V is also the leader who delegates too much. By delegating, what happened? She's not in charge. I love V, but that's a mistake she makes. So Caitlyn, absolutely phenomenal. She's also the friend. She's also really well put. So, for example, we have the fact that she's going against Jinx because she knows that Jinx is a criminal. She knows that Silco's. It's kind of funny because in the movie, Silco's is dangerous, but Silco's will not attack. Silco's will use Sylvia or will use Jinx to attack. So she knows that by killing Jinx or by capturing Jinx, she is hitting directly Silco. Directly. She wants to help V because she believes that V is in a noble position, and she also want to help Jace because Jace has a council position. That doesn't mean he's gonna be a bigger target. Caitlyn is in the shadow, but she's still this little match of fire in a room dark. She saw the injustice in the upworld. She saw the low town. It's a very sad thing because there's a moment in this episode where V tells Caitlyn, "Hey, you should blend in," and we see Caitlyn for the first time having a lot of fun when she blends in, and you realize what a burden she must have wore. You know, we got the relationship with Silco's with Jinx is very complicated. You see Jinx multiple times during the show, thinking that Silco is a liar, Silco is a bad person. You see multiple times Jinx saying, "I don't know if I can trust Silco," right? But then at the very end, spoiler, at the very end, she learns that Silco, all he did, even though he wasn't trustworthy, all he did was for her. She didn't need to know. He lied to save her. He lied to other people to save her. Silco really saw her as his daughter, right? We have a complicated relationship where Jinx is a hard time to manage. I'm gonna do another spoiler. I got a pimple here and it's bothering me. I'm gonna do another spoiler. At the very end, they ask Silco, "Listen, you want to do a deal with us? You want to stop the war? Give us Jinx." And Jinx goes to a statue of his brother, and Jinx is like, "All I have to do is give her up. She gave me a lot of problem herself. What's the price for that?" But he's not gonna do it, right? Which is beautiful. Even though we see a glimpse of how much she still cares about V, we see Jinx. The fact is, really weirdly speaking, I think you're gonna like this reference. If you're into manga, Jinx is very much like Obito. Obito used to be this very good character that wanted to be the best. He wanted to do justice. He wanted to be a normal life. Then he met this guy called Madara. Madara, who has a view of, to a certain degree, Silco is very like Madara also. He has a view of this warped world. He has a view of this world that's not perfect. He has a view of how this world needs to be to change. And he keeps on pushing it to Jinx. But Jinx is like, "No, that's not the right way. I want to be a nice person. I still have friends." It's like Obito. Right? It's like such a cool scene because she fights against a firefly, which is the kind of like the good guys in the slum city. kind of the resistance, if you will, resist against Silco. Because so what happened is in the beginning of Arcane, Vander was in charge of the slums. He wasn't charging. He was a politic just a feature or figure, sorry. And then Silco took over. Now Silco is a complicated thing. Silco is a dictator. Silco ultimately wants the good for the slums. But Silco will use tactics that are not good. He'll drug people so they're loyal to him. He'll drug them, right? And they're afraid of him. So he's kind of like more of a gangster than a role model. But still, the slum is this ghetto. There's places in the world where there's actual world. There's ghetto, and the government will not go there. So the gangster taking care of everybody else. Yes, they're criminals, but they're helping. So that's the way. That's what happened here. Arcane is filled with amazing visual. There's so many cool visuals. So, for example, in this one, we fight a firefly. Jinx fight a firefly. Her helmet drop, and she has pink hair, and she kind of looks like V. So we're seeing the whole time that she's like V, or the perception of V that Jinx would have, how she remembers her, until she's not. So it's beautiful. The visual. There's this. I think it's episode number 7. I can't wait to get into the visual. Are phenomenal. You guys are gonna go crazy about the visual. And it's really well made too, which is important. Like the different mentality of Victor, it's nice because you see Victor and Jace. Jace was very physical. Victor was very smart, and you see how Victor. And it's sad because Victor doesn't see himself the equal of Jace, but Jace considers him is equal. When you look at it, Victor put in more work than Jace. When you look at it, Victor is possibly more responsible for the advancement that it had. And now, in the first part, we have the proof that the crystal can be used, and the second part, which is after the time skip, we have 2 augments. See, Jace created the Atlas Gauntlet, which is what V used. The Atlas Gauntlet is, and again, this kind of showed the flaws of Jace. It really showed the flaws of Jace. Really showed the flaws of Jace. And don't get me wrong, I like Jace. I like the character of Jace, but he's flawed as fuck. So Jace created this gauntlet. And this gauntlet, you lift things easier, you can destroy things, you're a lot stronger, right? But if you take a person like Victor, who has a physical ailment, if you take most people from the Undercity who are completely fucked up because they're addicted to Shimmer, and they're skinny like that, then the Atlas Gauntlet become completely unusable. So it is kind of weird. And then you have Victor, who has a more mental. So you see what he does. He does like that kind of like Dr. Octopus, and he uses a laser. But the laser does very little damage. See, Jay's weapon could actually be used to really change the world. Now, Victor, would it be used to change the world? No. However, it's more accessible. And holy shit, it's 4 o'clock a.m.? Thank God. Thank God. Because I got a lot of shit to do. Fuck, shit. I didn't change that time. I'm gonna need to change it tonight. And yeah, so there's a really sweet moment where we got the leader of the council come and praise Jace and Victor and say, hey, you both did good. And you can see Victor is such a sad character. Victor, I sympathize with him. Victor is a classic character that doesn't feel like he's good enough. Doesn't feel like he's worth a shit when he is worth a shit. And Victor lives in the shadow of Jace. And it's a beautiful symbiosis because Jace feels like he's protecting Victor by taking the heat, by looking at the camera, by looking at everybody because he knows Victor is reserved. And he does feel like he helps Victor, but Victor could have used this forced adversity, could have used this forced exposure, you know. We had at the end, we had a very cool part where Jace joined the council, which is super important because the council is the most important people in the world, and he gives a speech. And there's a really sad moment. I really like Victor, where Victor doesn't feel like he deserves to be there. Jace says, hey, you know what? And fucking shout out to Jace, because Jace is like, this is your invention too. Come with me. And Victor's like, no. And the sad part is, Victor doesn't say no because he doesn't trust Jace. Victor doesn't say no because he knows that he doesn't say no because he knows the thing will fail. He knows that he trusts Jace, he trusts the product. However, it doesn't trust the people out there. We changed everything. At 5, we got more of Jace, who is now responsible and need results. You see, Jace kind of great thing is the classic Ben Parker with great power, great responsibility. You see, Jace was in episode number 4. He was the scientific who was working on a project. Now, in episode number 5, he's part of the council, and we need results. Also, Jace being part of the council is a target because the target is this guy is really important versus just another scholar. We got the fallen hero Marcus. Marcus was a kid with the officer that really helped out V. Marcus is, a lot of people are gonna hate him. Marcus is a coward. Marcus does deal with Silco for money. Marcus does deal with Silco for power. Marcus' perception is he wants to do good. Marcus is actually one of the sadder character. Marcus wants to do good. He wants to be a hero. But Marcus understand that he needs Silco, cannot stop Silco. Or Marcus understand that because he helped Silco in the past, he doesn't deserve the praises. So he got the praises, he got the power, but since he doesn't feel like he deserves it, he doesn't know how to use it. We have a really sweet moment where there's a funeral and he sees his younger daughter, and that is the father. And the way Arcane puts it, it's not precisely said, but the way Arcane puts it is his daughter is very young, and Marcus had a change of heart when he had his daughter. He wanted to become more heroic than it. Even when he saved V to a certain degree, he's saving her. He's not an asshole, right? And the fun part about Marcus, the very fun part about Marcus, is that he has like a gun, and he could stop Silco from taking Jinx and V, but then he's like, oh, I can save V for sure without getting in trouble. You know what it reminds me of? Asan from Attack on Titan, which is a character that was afraid of Titan, but was able to save kids, and he saved kids instead of fighting the Titan. And then he was seen as a hero when he wasn't. Jinx is in a bad spot mentally. She keeps seeing V, and she keeps hearing about how V is back. She keeps hearing how, oh, V is back, I need to save her. Why she's not looking for me? Is there really a chance? Because basically Silco told her that she was dead, told her V is dead, but now that... See, in the first episode I made a mistake, because I watched this like 2 days ago. Jinx see a person that looks like V, and she's like, oh my god, it's V, but because Silco told her she's dead, but she never saw the body. So there's this possibility that she got cured or she got saved, right? So she has a very bad spot, and because she failed in the first mission, because again she saw V and she failed, Silco was mad at her. So now she's dealing with a lot of pressure, because Jinx constantly put pressure on herself because she doesn't feel like she is worth the praise that she received, which is something that really is sad, because you realize that her self-indulgence or self-doubt come from a place of being bullied as a kid by the kid with whom she wrote in episode number 1. Kind of sweet. It's kind of sad too. V, she's going back to the slump. It's a really sweet couple of scenes where you see that she's getting back used. She's getting back to it. She's getting used to being in the slum again. You see her dropping from rooftop. We're seeing how much she remembers those streets. She's seeing them go to a restaurant, eat food, and say how much she misses it. You know, she never left the slum, which plays a big part, because basically speaking, right? Basically speaking, okay. So Jace represents the upper city. Jinx represents the bad guys, which is Silco, and V represent the slum. See, there's always gonna be a moment where V represents Vander and Jinx represents Silco, and to the very end of the first season, we're seeing that, right? We got she get to it again. One of my favorite scenes. One of my favorite scenes coming up. We're seeing a theater, and it's kind of cool because I love Mel. I'm sorry I didn't remember the name, but Mel, she is the one that shows Jace. And you know what? Mel, she's kind of a victim. It's actually sad. It's not super sad, but it's sad. Mel's the victim of having a mother who said, no, you're not good enough. I'm going to put you in the console. So Mel, she's there to have a higher position, but her mom, who is the person she's trying to help, doesn't give a fuck, which is sad. So then what ends up happening is that Mel, she sees that Jace has a sense of a virtue. And the thing is with Mel being the last of the council added, she sees how corrupted the council is. And she falls in love with Jace because Jace has this ID. Jace is a hope for a better council. Jace is the hope for a better council, which again doesn't seem like much, but it is a chance. And the council, once again, extremely powerful. It is not precise in the show how powerful it is, but they're taking a huge decision. They're possibly, I don't think they're powerful as a government, but they're influential. And there's a cool scene where you see people, and Mel, she points them out, and she said there's a theater scene. And it's such a beautiful scene because you get the Mel pointing out, this guy, this is what he does, this is what he does, this is why he's in cahoots. And then Jace, he made the mistake of seeing that the council was corrupted and do some research. So now they say, oh, you're the number one target. And the best part about it is, while she's explaining the crimes of every single consulate, there's some music that plays, and it's a very dramatic music, so it adds to the moment, adds to the intensity of the moment. Mel telling how to use that. Mel, she tells him how corrupted they are, and then Jace is like, yo, you're telling me that, what am I supposed to do? And Mel should just say, either you play or you don't play. So then, right after, which is a very, very cool writing, it's really cool writing, it's a really good show. It goes in and they're saying, well, basically, there's this person that say, hey, Jace, I kind of need your help. And Jace just learned, this is a beautiful moment of Mel testing Jace. And she doesn't test him because she doesn't trust him. She tests him because she needs him, which to me is more powerful. She just told him that she was corrupted, that the person was corrupted. So when the person who's corrupted asked for help with Jace, he just has an instance of, fuck you, you're corrupted. But he also has an instance of, shit, I need you. I kind of need you, right? So he doesn't push forward, and he actually played the game, which is what Mel wanted. We got a Jinx. Jinx, she's looking for clues about V. You got a really cool moment. And again, visually speaking, it's fantastic. Because in this episode, we have V that's reclaiming her place around the slum. And we have Jinx, who's kind of showing... See, Jinx has always been in the slum, but she's been living in the castle of the slum. So she's living in the empire of the slum, and she's not part of the slum, per se. It's like, she's not poor, but she's not rich, but she's the richest of the poor. And she goes back to the slum. So we're seeing V discover the slum, and we're seeing Powder visiting the slum, which is, to me, it's a really powerful statement, because those two characters are sisters, but they're complete opposite. How do they see each other? We're seeing V, and it's really sweet because this is a moment that is super important. V see the story, and she's like, oh, I missed this shit. And Jace come back and remember how much she was bullied. You know? There's a really nice duality, right? You just feel bad for Caitlyn, because Caitlyn, she's striving, she has this perfect life, and then she sees V, and she sees how rough the world is, and she feels sad because she didn't know that. Far from the eyes, far from the earth, far from the eyes, far from the heart, right? Amazing visual where Jace, this is the episode. Okay, in the visual, there's this episode that is completely amazing. Mel and Jace have sex. They fall in love, they have sex. And while they're having sex, you have Victor's working on the crystal. Victor ends up coughing blood because he's very sick. And you're seeing, and the visual here is so interesting because they're showcasing Jace, and they're not showcasing, but they're I don't know how to speak English, I'm tired. How do I say that? They're insinuating that Jace and Mel have sex, and her body is fusing, and then at the same time you're seeing Victor blood fusing with the crystal. So you see as much duality as you see with Jace, much duality that you see with Jinx and V, you're seeing with Jace and Victor, which is really nice. And then the next scene, oh my god, just next scene you have no idea. Silco realized that Jinx is really faltering her. And then he brings her to the pond. So Silco's story was, he was becoming a danger. Vander says, you're going too far. Silco was like, we need to go that far. And they had a fight. And then Vander went in to choke, to drown Silco, but didn't have the ball to do it. Just like V would do. And because of that, he died. The weak part of him died. He became this monster that he is right now. which it would have become either way. I want to specify that, right? But there's a really, really, really cool part where he tells Jing the story, and Jing's like, "Oh, I know the story. You told me 1,000 times." And he's like, "This is the water. This is the water that happened. I knew I couldn't trust anybody. Everybody left me. I was left powerless because I trusted other people to take care of the shit for me. The second I become to trust myself, I become all powerful." And Jinx, she's very vulnerable. Her mental state is very vulnerable. Her mental state is very weak. She does this one thing that is super interesting. And I swear to God, I want to describe the scene because it's one of the most beautiful scenes. Silco realized that Jinx started to falter, so he takes her head and he baptizes her in the water. It is not a baptizing. I don't think it's meant religiously, but if you look at the baptism of a baby, you see the way it is. You see the baptism of an adult. That's what he does with Jinx. So he kind of baptize her in the water, but kind of baptizes her in the water that is disgusting. So it's really cool, really, 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 really cool. And it's followed by an amazing song. And I think Arcane culture is amazing, but I think Arcane pleasure is the song, the writing, the visual. Arcane to me is perfect. It's really, really fucking good. So we have the first real fight scene. Okay, cool. Wait, I skip something. We have the song, and it's Marcus' sadness, how he wish he was able to change, but how he is a slave to Silco. See, Silco is okay. So that's a really good way to put it. Vander was a leader by respect. People wanted to follow Vander. Silco is a leader by fear. People fear him. So Marcus is not better. He fear him. We have an amazing scene where we see Silco number 2 in a bar, and we see V suck her knee her in the face. It's a powerful scene. We're seeing the first fight, right? And it's amazing because it's really a big scene, and it's a scene where again the visuals are crazy. V loses his battle, okay, saved by Caitlyn, and then Jinx discovered the crystal. So if you think that V is the good guy, you're seeing that the good guy just lost, not once but twice. Episode number 6, we feel sad for Victor, right? We saw him as a kid and how he couldn't walk. Then he meets someone else, and that someone else, the second you see Victor's like, "Oh, you're an intellectual. You're just like me. We assemble each other." So he teaches Victor all he knows. This is why Victor is so smart. Is this really cool scene where also we're seeing Jace and Victor being victim of the cold, and there's this guy with a crystal that helps them. We don't know who that guy is, but he helps them. This is how they discover the strength of the crystal, right? We have a sweet moment with Mel and Jace, right, where they're romantic. It's not so much. Is there a romantic story? I don't think it's romantic, but they're both aiming to better the society. They both agree with a lot of the shit that each other said. They're both in love, and it's a really cute story. Do you believe it? You don't need to believe it, because it's like those two have so much in common. It would be normal for them to be romantic. See, a lot of stories, and I guess that's the goal, but a lot of stories are focusing on the how they get there, how they meet. We have water, right? How do they meet? How do they come together? And then you have Mel and Jace, who just happen to like each other. And if you want to push the concept of duality, you have Victor, who was alone, and you have Jace, who was with a person. Victor is really sad. I love Victor. I really like Victor. We have we learned that Jinx learned that Silco is going after V because she. So the first thing, and that's really sad. That's why Jinx ends up going crazy. See, the Jinx, it's kind of crazy because the Jinx we see at the beginning of this episode 4. My apologies. After this time skip, she's mentally unstable, but she's not crazy. Now at the end, she's crazy, in the best way, because she suffered so much. See, first of all, Silco says, "No, she's dead. I'm sorry. I can't find her." She's like, "Okay, I get you. I understand." And then we learn that V is alive. And we learn that Silco, knowing that V is alive, wants to kill her to keep Jinx under his wings. Yeah, it's sad. But once again, that's the way Silco acts. Okay. We have V, who is really messed up, so she ended up being stabbed. We get her to the slum, and we get her to heal. Somebody brings her to a doctor, and this is a weird part. They bring her to a doctor where they heal V, but then they betray V because they call Silco and say, "Hey, she's there." Then we have V, and it's a powerful moment because Caitlyn, she helps V escape, and then Jinx, she has a fuse, and V gave her that fuse and she said, whatever you need, I'll be there. So you have the very first scene of Jinx understanding that V's alive and wanting to communicate, which is super cool, and it makes you wonder why didn't V did that for herself. But it's not a big deal. You see that Silco enslaved people with a shimmer. They're addicted, that's why he controlled them. We have the people playing mind trick with Jinx. So basically, people are making fun of Jinx. People are imagination are like, it's almost a devil on the shoulder, which is Milo. He makes fun of her and he keeps pushing her, right? So it brings her to insanity. We now have a very alive crystal, right? It's super cool because the crystal now is a plant, which means it's alive. The plant thing is a proof that it's alive. And again, the plant thing needed the blood of Victor to be alive. So that's the first sign that, okay, well, it is possible to be alive, but what is the cost? We have a really cool scene where Silco goes after Marcus because he knew that Marcus saved V. But then again, it's a cool scene because it's just a way for Silco to intimidate Marcus, but there's no payoff. Marcus is already afraid of Silco. So you got a guy that's already afraid of Silco, get a scene, and the result is he's afraid of Silco, which you were already afraid. You understand? The council changed position, right? They changed position and leader, and it's sad because the leader was seeing the past, but the leader had a lot of experience. And see, Jace become the leader. Do I believe that Jace makes a good leader? Absolutely. But the problem with Jace, he needed experience, and the guy, the ex-leader, would have gave him the experience, right? We got Victor, who goes too far, and what is kind of cool, what is really cool, is that the leaders see Victor's like, what did you do? You're so much stronger. You're so much stronger. And another really cool thing is that Victor has to sacrifice. So the way it works is Victor understands that he has to sacrifice his blood. So he's like, I don't care if I have to kill myself. Because, okay, so I'm not saying this correctly. So the cool scene with Jace and Melina in the first part is because Victor, they fucked, and then Jace ran away. And then she's like, oh, you're an asshole, you ran away. And then he said, no, Victor's dying. And he says, like, it's like my brother, you know? And Victor, he went to sacrifice himself. I personally think that he's willing to sacrifice himself because he's very sick. He's coughing out blood. I think he's willing to sacrifice himself because he's dying, and I think he's ready to sacrifice himself for Jace. There's two schools of thoughts. Either he sacrificed himself so they would perceive the secret of the crystal, and then Jace would have the fame, as we saw as he joined the council, or Victor was a desperate attempt of, I'm dying, might as well die on my own volition and not because of sickness, right? We have a blockade for the we have a blockade from the slum because the situation is evolving. So basically what Marcus gives Jace a bomb that was made by Jinx, and then they understand that Jinx is possibly after the upper city, so they do a blockade, which ends up being one of the most powerful fucking scene because we have V and Powder meeting, and V and Powder meeting is so short, but it's like, oh, you're alive, I will never give you up. And then she sees Caitlyn, and at first I thought Powder was jealous of Caitlyn, but she's not. I thought it was romantically, but she see Caitlyn as a girl that looks like her. She see a girl that is another shooter, just like Jinx used to be. She see a girl who V is protective of, and it's just because she think that, oh, she's her new sister. That's pretty much it. And there you go. That's episode number 6. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna stop here, and I'm gonna do episode number 7 and 8 because tomorrow, well, technically today, Oh, wait a second. I gotta check. Today or tomorrow we have the Arcane Season 2.